Yeah, so I've been playing guitar for like 10 years. And I wanted to talk about a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a feeling that I've had throughout that time. Just kind of explore it and see what you people out there think. I've been just trying to understand why, I've played for that long, and I feel to some degree like, I haven't progressed quite as much as I would want. And that's a pretty common thing. And there can be a lot of reasons for that. But for me, I feel like it wasn't that I was not trying hard enough, it just felt like part of me wouldn't let me try in the right way. It felt like I had almost a mental block, kind of stopping me from doing what needed to be done. And that's something that I've realized as the years have gone on. I've realized that more lately. And I've tried to understand why that is. And I would say a big reason for that is, like, I had a goal when I started to just kind of vibe, to be able to vibe on the guitar, to be able to just have fun and be creative and no pressure. Just kind of be able to play, create things, have fun. And that seemed like a fair goal to have, but the way I went about it just wasn't quite right. And I think the key there for why it wasn't right is it wouldn't let me do mechanical practice routines, or it kind of stopped me from having consistency, because all those things felt like they were encroaching on that desire for freedom and creativity, right? It just felt like opposite. But in hindsight, it's kind of necessary. And so that may seem obvious, but it's not always obvious when you're going through it. And then I had another goal, which, it didn't seem like it was different or in opposition to that first goal. And it was also less outwardly stated. It was more of just a subtle feeling that I got. And all musicians kind of get this feeling, where you want to be good, you want to be listenable, you want to gain the respect of people you think have taste. Whether they're in your life, people you know or have met, or people in the world, people on the internet, or if you're playing live music, people that go to live music shows and just want recognition. To put it simply, I wanted freedom on the guitar, but I also wanted, recognition for being genuinely good and an authentic player. But those two things don't necessarily align. I really didn't realize that. It was kind of like a cognitive dissonance going on in my brain. And a way to kind of conceptualize how I was thinking about that in a little bit more of a concrete way, and how I was going through that cognitive dissonance, it was, if the practice or messing around, the noodling, the jamming, if it started to feel less like freedom and more constraining, it felt like I was doing music wrong. It felt like I wasn't going in the right direction. And because of that, I kind of created this weird avoidance loop. Avoidance of doing the specific things that were necessary to improve. Because I would say it's not that complicated. People try and complicate it on the internet, and they come at music and guitar from a million different angles. But at the most basic level, it's just understanding the, the tool you have in front of you, the instrument. And that's just a matter of not looking for hacks and cheap shortcuts and things, because those feel like progress in the moment, but in the long term, they just stall your progress. And so, at least in the last handful of years, I've more or less known what needs to be focused on, which is knowing the notes on the fretboard and understanding how chords are made up of those notes, and then seeing how that overlays on the fretboard, and being able to be fluent in the guitar, like a pianist. And piano is very laid out, straightforward. Its octaves are just continually moving upwards with no complication. And so a beginner can name notes and understand things a lot easier. And that's a well-discussed thing. But it can be easy to gloss over that when you're learning guitar, especially if you don't have direction or a teacher or something, which most people don't on the internet. They're just trying to piece things together. And so it can be obvious, but at the same time not feel like it aligns with your goals. And it's like, I knew that I wasn't lazy. I knew what I had to do. I just found more interesting ways to not do it, more interesting things to do on the guitar that felt productive, that felt fun, that felt like I was making things happen. But it never adds up. And then you start to realize that. It's funny because I thought, at least I felt like I was protecting my creativity. But in reality, I was protecting an identity. So in the wake of kind of understanding that, in the recent few years, I feel like motivation isn't necessarily a factor here. That's not something that's changed or played into it. I mean, I guess motivation to understand why I'm at where I'm at, but not more motivation to play or to learn or to be better. Because that's always been there. It's just had, unconscious factors working against it. I kind of realized I couldn't keep both of those goals and get what I wanted. But that's really the majority of what I wanted to get into in this video. I'll just keep it short. And next time, I guess I'll go into a bit of how to reconcile that and how to move forward. Not by adding more motivation, like I was saying, but by making other adjustments. So I guess I will see you guys later.